In light of the fact that this week is local government week, I'd like you to talk a little bit about that. What does local government week mean?
It means that government must make sure that we attend to issues or challenges that are facing the local sphere of government, especially around service delivery. That's what it means. But also playing that political oversight, to make sure that all projects that you see on paper are actually, delivered, on the ground. I think that's what it means.
Okay. There are concerns from the community about the delivery of RDP houses. How is the municipality facilitating that process?
Well, those are genuine concerns, I must say, because as Makana, we have last built since the new era, 1995. 1995, yes, local government. We built some houses at the time, and up until 2007, where a circular was released by, provincial government to just stop building houses. And thereafter, as Makana, we never had, houses, RDP houses in particular, being built.
Was there a reason they gave you why you should stop?
It was a national call.
Oh.
It was a call for the province of the Eastern Cape, not only Makana, because there was some plans of trying to revive, the size of the house, which was plus minus 18 square meters at the time, because we wanted to build 40 square meters, which we are now building. So it was just some technical issues that were still being attended by the province in terms of the policy for human settlement, but also to try and come up with a more developmental approach when it comes to building houses. You don't just build now RDP houses, but we build human settlement. Human settlement, I mean that you involve all stakeholders when you build houses. It's not just our responsibility at local government, but also the other departments must come on board. When you talk human settlement, you must make the point that at least the Department of Education is part of that process. Social development is part of that process. Safety, your police are also part. So the question of raising a concern for a very slow pace of building houses in Makana is a very genuine concern. But I can assure you, we have managed to come up with a very good strategy of responding to that. Well, you would remember that some would remember in Makana, because he was just arrived, that we, for quite some time, we had a challenge of not having a director for technical services, because our director has resigned, Mr. Mngxitama-Diko.
Speaking of that, why wasn't someone appointed after the previous director resigned?
Well, for appointments, it's not a question of you sleep and just wake up, go and get someone from the street. There are internal processes that one has to follow. Otherwise, if you take shortcuts, you'll be found, as somebody who's transgressing the law. So we had to follow the law. We have to advertise, which takes, its own, process. After advertising, you have to make sure that you constitute a panel. After that panel, you shortlist. After shortlisting, you still have to wait. Maybe the person that you are recommending is somebody who's, occupying a position somewhere, but you are interested in that particular person. So once you recommend somebody who's occupying a post somewhere, then that person must give notice to his previous job.
Okay.
So those were just, such delays. But I mean, immediately when that person, Mr. Njilo resigned, we immediately advertised. Yes, now we have a new director.
Coming back to that question of RDB houses, there are also concerns that the ones that are there are already dilapidated. What is the problem with that? Is it the way they constructed, or is it because of anything?
Well, sometimes it's a question of Shoddy work, I must say, because of between ourselves and the province. Because remember, we are just facilitators as local sphere of government. The responsibility of building human settlement is the responsibility of the province.
And there's always a confusion, sorry to interrupt you, there's always a confusion whether this responsibility is the municipality or is it human settlements. People don't know who to ask, about the issue of RDB houses.
You're right, ma'am. But, the communities are not confused. They know that local government is the cold face of service delivery. So they would just come to us. They don't care about our explanation that, no, it's not our core competency. But we'll just explain that. But we have to take full responsibility to make sure that at least that facilitation and of course the delivery of a house does take place. That we should do. Now, coming to your question of the Shoddy work or dilapidating of housing, sometimes it's because of a Shoddy work that is being done, an oversight which is not properly, done at sometimes at local level and also at the provincial level. You appoint contractors and you don't make a follow-up in terms of ensuring that your inspectors are on site mostly on weekly basis, if not on daily basis. So we have tried now to tighten up that weakness. We are going to have our local inspectors. We are going to make sure that the provincial inspectors as well, or from the region, are also part of that process.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. There's a question here about creating jobs. What the municipality is doing to create jobs for people in Makana?
Well, creation of jobs is not only our duty or our responsibility as Makana. I think as the president has just, pronounced during his State of the Nation, that job creation must be a responsibility of South African citizens, all of us. Your private sector must come on board. Of course, ourselves must come on board. And I think in this case, I must take the opportunity also to commend, institutions like your Rhodes University, which they are playing a very big role in terms of providing jobs for the community of Makana. Your army, base, and also high tech. High tech is taking a lot of people, providing a lot of jobs. As Makana, we are trying our level best within our means. We have facilitated quite a number of projects. There's a program called EPWP, Expanded Works, public program, which we have managed to facilitate as Makana. There's quite a number of young people and old who've been, employed by that program. We have also established a unit that will deal specifically with EPWP that we never had in the past. So there's somebody now that has been employed from time to time on daily basis to look for projects that will create jobs, to look for all opportunities that will create jobs. But over and above that, the institution in a form of the LED, led by Director Rihanna Meran. We are also creating the conducive environment for SMMEs, because you don't just employ people, but you can also create the environment to be conducive such that your SMMEs can start their small businesses.
Okay.
So that's exactly what we're doing as well.
Okay. Speaking of SMMEs, there's been a concern of Makana employing service delivery people from outside Grahamstown. We wanted to know why is that? Is it because there's no skills here? There's no SMMEs that are established within Grahamstown and Alistair and Grocott East?
We have to balance that argument because sometimes we are also guided by the supply chain processes. So you can't flout your procurement processes by just taking people because they are from local. They have to meet certain requirements or certain standards in order for them also to be appointed. So that committee satisfies itself by looking at the grades also of the local contractors. Sometimes, a project requires that in order for that contractor to get that particular job, it must have grade 6 or grade 8. And then you'll find that our local contractors have not yet reached that grade. So trying to address that, we said we are going to encourage those outside contractors who are well established to also forge partnership with our local contractors so as to empower them with skills and also to transfer some knowledge to those local contractors so that after a certain point at least they can exit and ours will be in charge of the projects. But I think it's a genuine concern because that also impacts negatively on your local economy, because once you get your service providers that are coming from outside, it means that some of the money or the majority of the money is going out of Makana. So we want to create a situation whereby we prioritize the local contractors, but we cannot compromise the quality of the work that must be there.
Okay, there's a question here that says, what are you planning to do about the sewage system in Belmont Valley, which is apparently overloaded?
Thanks for that, but fortunately, maybe you're also aware of that question. In our last special council meeting, Monday, last week, yes, no, this week.
This week,
yes,
Monday
this week. We've just, authorized as the council, the director for technical services to explore a process of funding model so that we can start, upgrading Belmont Valley. It's not a new project. If you go back as far as last year, I was looking, through my correspondence, and I came across a Grocott mail, newspaper, which was talking to that. There was a certain company which was very much interested to upgrade our local, our Belmont Valley. It's when it comes to infrastructure, most of the time we overload, our storage plant. So with your Mayfield Phase 2, that is also coming very soon, it is very much paramount for us to quickly move with speed to upgrade Belmont Valley, so that by the time you complete that project, which is plus minus 2,263 houses to be built, which might be completed by 2013-2014 financial year. So I'm trying to say we have to speed up that process. There are plans on that regard.
Okay. And also they want to know, what are you doing to repair street lights around town that are not working?
Well, not only street lights, the entire infrastructure of Makana is aging. We are very challenged around our infrastructure. You look at your streets, you are trying to fix a pothole today, the next day or within 2-3 days, that pothole again, it's open. So we want to have a turnaround plan in terms of how are we going to address our aging infrastructure. I've appealed to the new director to look at that because there are quite a number of streets in Grahamstown in particular, and also of course in the township that are off, that needs to be attended to. But that matter is being attended. It's a matter of getting a report, from the director to say, when can we say all the street lights are being attended to. So, but it's something that we are aware of.
Okay, and also there's the issue of water and toilets that are not being finished. Some were dug, but they're not finished. There's also concerns about that. What is being done by the TTIS directorate about that?
Well, I may not be 100% sure of the area that you're referring to.
Okay, there's Hlalani village, and then also there's the villages in Fingo township.
About Hlalani, I know that we have set aside plus minus 6 million to attend to that project. We have managed to get money from MIG because that was a start. We started the project to deal with the, infrastructure there, laying of pipes. So now we must attend to the top structure. So some of the money that I'm talking about is for the top structure. It might not be enough, but there are plans to start now the second phase of that project at Hlalani, bringing up, your top structure and the connection of that. So it also, there are plans for that one.
And the Fingo villages?
Fingo village, it's a matter of delays from a contractor. It's an ongoing project. Okay. It's not a question of abandoning the project. It's an ongoing project. It's just that, because of the weather, sometimes the contractor would go there and come back because there's a lot of waterlog in the area. But it's something that we are attending to. But also, what we have experienced in the past is that some contractors, has experienced some difficulty in terms of getting the project done. Then in cases like that, we get penalties for the contractor if they are not, attending to what we have raised. Then we get the contractor out of the site and we get a new contractor to go and finish the job.
Okay, is there someone who is responsible to convey those kind of messages to the community? Because to them it seems as if the municipality doesn't care. If they don't see a contractor for a week, they don't know what happened. Is there someone who's responsible to convey such messages to them?
Well, our communication, it is lacking, I must say. Our communication, people have been, complaining about our communication as the institution. For instance, if there is a water burst in the township, we are not spot on. We don't communicate that immediately to say this is a problem and it will take maybe an hour or two to fix it. That has been a concern for quite some time, because unfortunately, Umatebeze had to go, has resigned, and now we don't have somebody who's going to ensure that at least from time to time there is that constant communication between ourselves and the communities. It's a challenge. I must accept that we've been failing a little bit when it comes to communicating.
Okay, there's also a concern about the increasing crime rate in Grahamstown. The people are asking, why isn't there visible policy like there is when there's National Arts Festival? Why isn't there visible policing every day in Grahamstown?
I thought about this last night as if I knew that you were going to ask me. The issue of safety in our areas, it's not supposed to be a responsibility of the police alone. We have to take, charge as communities of our own safety. By that I mean that your community policing forums must be active and they must be visible. We have also to encourage our local communities to be part of the reservists, structure in the police. But over above that, we have to make sure that, when it comes to crime that is committed, our communities don't keep quiet, because sometimes you find that I see, a crime activity taking place in front of me, but I don't want to say anything because I fear for my for my life. So it's something that we have to educate our communities. But also, I was thinking last night, before, the democratic era, we used to see the police doing foot patrols, in our communities. But it's very rare that you see police on foot patrols. They will just drive the police vans around, but that's not effective. I think if we can go back to some of the strategies that we utilized, in the past to curb, crime, we are going to succeed. But I'm trying to say that the police must work closely with us, and ward councillors and ward committee members must also make sure that they assist that process. But over and above that, if we can also, through ward councillors and ward committees, establish street committees. In each street, you make sure that at least there's a street committee. If there's a problem or somebody who's unruly in that particular street, then that committee must be in charge of that. They must be able to bring that person in and talk to him, to behave, like a human being.
There's also a question whether you will be purchasing a BMW, a Benz, or an Audi TT.
Well, I know the council has resolved that the car that I'm using as the mayor, the X5, is very, very much expensive when it comes to fuel. Its maintenance is now beyond, what is required. I think also the kilometers, we have exceeded the kilometers that we're supposed to keep the car. So it is becoming now a liability to the institution. So for that reason, the council has resolved that a new car must be bought. I don't know what type of car they are going to buy, because I'm far from that. All I need is a transport to move from point A to point B, so that when you say to me, Mayor, there's a problem in Josa, I must be there